After Darkiplier summoned that monstrous demon and tore reality itself open, hell didn't just break loose. It spilled out like a river of nightmares. Demons and malformed monsters clawed their way from the earth, dragging up dirt and rotting coffins, while the dead exploded from their graves in a rain of bones and screaming flesh. TV screens flickered and bled static, vomiting out twisted, evil versions of video game icons and cartoon characters. SpongeBob's smile stretched into a razor-sharp rictus. Mario's eyes black pits dripping with shadows. Every corner, every alley, every home was swallowed by chaos and carnage. Then, just as suddenly as the nightmare began, Darkiplier vanished, dragging the colossal demon with him into a wound in the world that bled fire and despair. The warped, possessed forms of SpongeBob, Mario, and my friends Ash, Luigikid, and Corexgenshin disappeared, yanked into swirling portals that twisted the air like a migraine. Rachel, my girlfriend, collapsed to her knees, her sobs drowned out by the chorus of agony above. Blood began to pour from the sky in thick, oily sheets. The moon, once a distant guardian, contorted into a living, monstrous face, a grotesque parody of a human visage, its eyes unblinking, its mouth twisting into a leer as it stared down at us with ancient, bottomless hunger. It should have been a nightmare, but the taste of copper in the air and the endless screaming reminded me it was all horrifyingly, unforgivably real.
I'll fix this. I promise,
I whispered, more to keep my sanity than to comfort Rachel. The shrieks from above seeped through the concrete walls, making our bunker, a forgotten government labyrinth hidden beneath a decaying Disney park, feel like a coffin. Rachel stumbled to a cracked window, hand clamped over her mouth, her eyes wide and glistening. I followed her gaze. Outside, children were being torn apart. Their blood painting the streets crimson, while their parents watched, paralyzed and shattered. One demon, its skin slick with gore, ripped a screaming baby from its mother's arms and tore it limb from limb with a sickening crunch. The mother collapsed, howling. Her face twisted into an expression of agony that would haunt me forever. Rachel's sobs became animalistic, raw.
Brandon, do you see what they're doing?
She choked out, trembling. I nodded, fighting to keep my voice steady.
don't worry. I'll fix this. I have to.
The words turned to ash in my mouth. I didn't even believe myself. She spun on me, eyes wild, voice echoing like a gunshot.
Really? How the fuck are you going to fix the end of the world?
Her words ricocheted off the bunker walls, bouncing around my skull.
I don't know,
I confessed, my voice a hollow rasp. She kept coming, her pain turning to fury.
This is it. This is how we die. And we take everyone else with us. Some fucking heroes we turned out to be.
She spat the words, and I had no defense. She was right. She wasn't finished. Her voice trembled with rage.
You thought fighting haunted video game characters was bad? We should have burned down the government's lies instead. We wasted years fighting cartoons while the real monsters walked free above ground.
Her anger grew into something feral, desperate for someone to blame. I just stood there, numb and empty as the world bled above us. There was nothing left to say.
And why the fuck didn't you use your powers?
She screamed, tears streaming down her cheeks.
I tried.
I croaked, my voice cracking like old bones.
They're not working.
At that moment, the ceiling groaned and gave way. Concrete and steel crashed down, crushing everything. The world went black, pain exploding in my skull. I felt blood, hot, sticky, my own blood, pooling under me, soaking into my skin. I thought that was it. I thought I was dead. But instead, I was floating in endless darkness, weightless and cold, suspended between life and oblivion. The screams faded, replaced by a suffocating silence broken only by the sound of my own heartbeat. Then a voice echoed through the black, calm and deep, ancient and knowing.
It's not your time. You still have work to do.
Who are you?
I whispered, the darkness pressing in.
Don't you recognize me? Brandon, it's me, Mike.
He stepped from the shadows, his form both familiar and horribly changed, eyes glowing with something otherworldly. I crumpled, sobbing. Mike, my best friend, dead for years, torn apart by Mario's corrupted hands.
How are you here?
I asked, voice shaking.
I've been watching you, making sure you stayed on the path.
He said, his voice both comforting and terrifying in the endless void.
We're in the endgame now.
He told me, his eyes burning with purpose.
What do I have to do?
I begged, desperate for something, anything, to hold on to.
First, you must save the 5 kings and queens. Ash, the queen of theories, Luigi Kid, the king of Mario games, Korix Genshin, the king of samurai, Rachel, the queen of love, and you, Brandon, the king of creation.
I almost laughed, the sound scraping from my lips.
Royalty? Now? Are you serious?
Mike smiled, but it was a twisted thing, more shadow than light.
Not real royalty. You're chosen, Mark. You always have been.
So I just have to save my friends from the demons inside them? Sounds easy, except for the part where my powers are gone.
He grinned wider, teeth too sharp.
They never left. You have the power of creation. Whatever your mind can imagine, you can make real. But you can't turn back time. That's the only rule. Now go. Save them or let the world rot.
I tried to argue, to beg for more time, but my soul was yanked back into my broken body. I gasped awake, the pain sharp and electric, rubble falling away. Rachel stared at me, eyes huge and haunted, as a cold, unnatural aura began to glow around me, casting everything in sickly, shifting colors.
Come on.
I said, my voice low and inhuman.
We've got work to do.
Outside, the screams continued. And the nightmare was only beginning. Brandon and Rachel escaped the government lab buried beneath that crumbling Disney park, desperate and determined. The world had turned into a nightmare, apocalyptic, twisted, swarming with demons, and somehow it was up to them to set things right. To do that, they needed their friends back. But their friends weren't themselves anymore. The demons had latched onto them, burrowed deep, and turned them into monsters. First up, Luigi Kid. Looking back, sending him to that haunted Nintendo land was a stupid mistake. I should have known better, should have realized there was something off about the place. Now, Luigi Kid's lost to the darkness. When we showed up at Nintendo Land, the whole place felt dead silent, shadows twisting around the old rides and attractions. We wandered for hours, searching for anything, clues, signs. There was this massive structure, looked like it once held a grand statue, maybe a centerpiece. Now, just ruins. We were scavenging, poking around, trying to figure out where the possessed Luigi Kid might be hiding when the ground shook. Thunder crashed. It sounded like a bomb detonated nearby. We sprinted toward the explosion, and there it was, a massive portal, shimmering, pulsing with sickly colors. Then they arrived, Mario characters, larger than life, but they weren't alive at all. Statues. Cold stone, blank eyes. Rachel tugged my arm.
Those things are huge. What do we do?
I shrugged, heart pounding.
We run for the portal. Now.
We tore across the park, dodging the statues. Honestly, it felt like we were being herded right toward the gateway, like they wanted us in. The portal spat us out somewhere familiar, Mario's exile. Last time we were here, Rachel got trapped inside a haunted version of Super Mario Bros. 3, possessed by some glitch demon. I'd killed the twisted Mario and pulled her out, but now the place was so much worse. The sky burned with a sickly red glow, and in the distance, Peach's castle floated unnaturally, flags stamped with a blood-red M for Mario, his new domain. The ground crawled with evil Mario clones, demonic, twisted versions from every era of the games. Some had sharp fangs, others dripped with gore, eyes wild and empty. Suddenly, a piercing light cut through the darkness. Rosalina descended, a spectral princess from Super Mario Galaxy, hovering above us. She spoke in a voice too pure for this hellish world.
I know you're here to save your friend. The only way to release them and end all of this is to find 5-star pieces. Take them to the altar on the moon. That will fix everything.
I stared.
How come you're not evil like the rest? What makes you different?
Rosalina looked sad and distant.
I was never trapped in the haunted versions the government created. I came from the real Super Mario Galaxy, the original one. They couldn't touch me.
She smiled, said,
Find those star pieces.
and faded away, leaving us alone. The mission was clear, but the details, not so much. I had no idea how we were supposed to reach the moon when we finally got the pieces. Still, we couldn't worry about that yet. To start, we needed to reach Peach's floating castle. I focused, calling up my power of creation, spawned a giant banzai bill. Rachel hopped on behind me, gripping tight as we rocketed toward the castle. Just before that banzai bill exploded, which happened a lot faster than I'd hoped, we bailed, smashing through the castle roof and tumbling straight into the throne room. Demonic Mario sat there, grinning, wearing a warped crown. He looked off, hollowed out. Wrong.
Which one are you?
I asked, voice shaky. He laughed, the sound echoing off the stone.
Come on! You don't recognize me! Don't you? I'm the first Mario you've ever killed! The same one you snatched your little girlfriend! No! I'm the king of this world!
Rachel recoiled, remembering the horror from that day. From the shadows, evil Luigi emerged, demonic and possessed.
You looking for me?
Taunted. Rachel squared up, fire in her eyes.
We're not letting you monsters win.
King Mario sneered.
Just try and stop us then!
I handed Rachel a fire flower, grabbed one for myself. Heat burned through us, we transformed, fire-fueled and ready to fight. Together we blasted fireballs, blowing apart half the throne room, running for the tower where the first star piece waited. Mario screamed after us.
Get them! Don't let them escape alive!
We grabbed a superstar, turned invincible and shot skyward, crashing through the tower roof. There it was, glowing bright, one of the star pieces. Rachel snatched it, stuffed it in her bag. We bolted, shooting fireballs everywhere, and the whole castle went up in flames, exploding sky high. Back through the portal, we made it. The statues from before were still there. One of them spoke, a cold, mechanical growl.
What the hell?
We destroyed Nintendo Land. Shattered the statues, left nothing but ruin. One star piece down, but I knew these demonic Marios would hunt us, chase us to the ends of the earth. The nightmare wasn't over, not even close, but we were ready to end it, whatever it took. After Brandon and his girlfriend Rachel snagged their first star piece in Nintendo Land, they knew 4 more were out there waiting. Their next stop was a place most folks wouldn't spare a second glance. Ban's kindergarten, that crooked, creaky school I'd once dragged Korik's Kenshin into, right before he wandered off into whatever dark thing lurks in those shadows. Nobody ever leaves that building the same. When we pulled up, it looked like an old, run-down joint, graffiti on the windows, weeds shooting through the cracks. But stepping inside, the walls seemed to push back, the hallways stretched on forever, and the lights flickered like the place was breathing.
Holy crap, this place is huge. Where the hell do you even start looking?
Rachel muttered, eyes darting everywhere. Then a crack echoed down the hall, and out of the shadows a pink bird emerged. Opilla, the name, popped into my head from the wall art. The bird darted at us, wings beating fast.
Oh my god! Kill that demonic bird!
Rachel yelled. We were boxed into a corner of a room.
Rachel, use the Mario killer.
I said. She nodded, grabbing the shotgun strapped to her back. Rachel blasted that bird's head off.
Well, that takes care of him.
I said, turning my attention back to the search for that star piece. We wandered into the lobby, and there, right in the center, was a massive bottomless pit. I peered into the darkness below.
I'm guessing way down there.
I told her, my voice swallowed by the silence.
Hold on tight.
I warned, and she pressed in close, arms wrapped around my waist. I drew a breath and jumped. We fell into blackness, spinning and then slamming into the floor far below. It was like being swallowed by tar, no light, no sound except our own breathing. I tapped into a spark of creation, and suddenly we glowed like living lanterns, shadows scattering. We pressed deeper into the labyrinth, nervous laughter bouncing off the walls. Something scraped behind us, then the lights snapped on. Banban stood there, a red monster with a twisted grin.
We've been expecting you.
Banban said, stepping closer. He attacked. I dodged and landed a few blows, but then he hit me with a punch that blew me backward, bones rattling.
Hand over your pancreases.
He sneered. I pulled myself up, blood staining the floor. Banban charged again, but I wove a sword from nothing and lopped his head clean off. Then the others spilled from the shadows. Banbalina, the white monster with a pink bow, Jumbo Josh, a massive green giant, Slow Celine, a gigantic snail, Stinger Flynn, a huge orange jellyfish, Nab Nab, the blue spider, and Korksgenshin, riding a two-headed turtle that didn't look much like a turtle.
So glad you could make it.
Corey said, flashing a katana.
Oh, you come for the star piece. You'll have to get through us first.
I'll handle Banbalina. You take the rest.
Rachel said, stepping forward. She whacked Banbalina squarely in the face.
You must be punished.
Banbalina hissed, punching Rachel hard and sending her skidding across the room. Stinger Flynn swung his tentacles at me. I dodged and blocked with my sword, then sliced off each tentacle one by one. When he swung the last one, I grabbed it, ripped it away, and drove it through his eye, killing him. Jumbo Josh and Slow Celine charged next, but I leapt into the air as they collided, smashing them both with brutal force. Rachel blasted Banbalina just before another crushing blow could hit her. Corey, furious, whispered,
Fine, I'll do it myself.
The giant two-headed turtle lunged, its tongue snaking toward me. I dodged, scrambled up its tongue, and cut off a head. Its remaining head fired a blast of energy, which I deflected right back. Its head exploded. Corey swung in with his katana. I parried and pressed forward, but Rachel shouted,
I got the star piece.
And grabbed Corey's brief distraction to snatch it herself. Before Corey could react, I teleported beside Rachel and we sprinted out as the building began to collapse around us. We shot into the sky, the city waking up below as the structure groaned and finally gave way. Corey's shout of
No!
echoed behind us, then nothing but the cold rush of wind and the distant sounds of morning. We touched down on the surface, breathing hard.
That's 2 down. 3 more to go.
Rachel said, steady as ever. Part of me hoped Playtime Co. wouldn't be half as messed up as that kindergarten, but deep down I knew the darkness wasn't going anywhere. This apocalypse wasn't close to over, and the real nightmares, whatever waits beyond this illusion of reality, were still ahead. After Brandon and Rachel have snatched their second star piece right out from Korksgenshin, they were now in a toy factory where the worst kind of experiments happened.
Why did you have to send our friends to these abandoned places? We could have used their help. We probably could have stopped Darkaplear from ending the world.
Rachel muttered, flicking her flashlight beam across the broken conveyor belt. The factory floor stretched ahead, littered with disembodied doll limbs and cracked plastic faces grinning up from the shadows. Bandon had felt bad for sending Ash Curry to this cursed factory and letting her get turned into a possessed doll. The first time Brandon saw Ash back at that government facility beneath Disney World fingers twitch, those stitched, yarn-wrapped fingers, he vomited into a pile of sawdust. It wasn't the gore that did it. It was the way her button eyes, lopsided now, still held the same exasperated look she'd given him when he joked about the factory being probably fine. The smell of melted plastic and rusting metal coiled thick in the air as Brandon wiped his mouth with the back of his hand, his stomach still churning. Rachel didn't glance back at him. She was already stepping over the sprawled limbs of dismembered animatronics, her boots crunching on shattered porcelain faces.
Third star piece.
She said, voice low, like the factory itself might be listening.
Somewhere in this hellhole. And we're not leaving without it.
The crash came from somewhere above. A thunderous clatter of metal on metal that sent a shudder through the rusted catwalks overhead. Brandon barely had time to grab Rachel's arm before the moan followed, a sound like air escaping a corpse's lungs. Low and wet and wrong. It wasn't human. It wasn't even animal. It was the groan of something that had learned to mimic pain without ever feeling it. The thing wasn't just standing there, it pulsed, its matted blue fur rippling like something alive squirmed beneath the surface. Its mouth stretched wider, impossibly wide, a black void lined with jagged teeth that gleamed under the flickering factory lights. Rachel's grip on Brandon's arm turned vise-tight.
Don't blink,
she breathed.
Stay back, Huggy,
Rachel said, voice steady despite the way her fingers dug into Brandon's forearm. The creature's grin stretched wider, its stitched mouth twitching with something disturbingly like amusement. That was when Brandon saw it, the small, ragged form clinging to Huggy's back like a grotesque parody of a child riding piggyback. The Raggedy Ann doll's yarn hair was matted with something dark, its button eyes reflecting the flickering overhead lights in a way that made Brandon's stomach twist.
Look at what you did to me!
Ash Curry's voice hissed from the doll's stitched mouth, too deep, too wet, like something gargling through syrup and broken glass. The doll's head lolled to the side, revealing stitches where her neck had been crudely sewn back together. Brandon's breath caught. Those were his stitches, the same clumsy cross-stitches he'd used to fix Rachel's backpack last week. The realization hit him like a punch to the gut.
Now I'm going to help the prototype burn the world.
Ash crooned, and Huggy's body shuddered, his fur rippling as if something moved beneath it. Rachel's flashlight beam wavered as she took a step back, her boots scraping against the concrete. Brandon could feel the heat of her panic radiating through her grip. Huggy's body uncoiled like a spring-loaded nightmare, his elongated limbs snapping forward with a wet, meaty sound. Brandon barely had time to yank Rachel backward before the creature's claws gouged deep furrows into the concrete where they'd been standing.
Run!
Rachel screamed, but it was unnecessary. Brandon was already dragging her toward a shattered service door, their footsteps echoing in the cavernous hell of the factory.
That's right, Huggy!
Ash's voice shrieked from the doll's mangled throat, the words bubbling with something between laughter and a death rattle.
Tear them limb from limb!
The Raggedy Ann doll clung tighter to Huggy's back, her stitched fingers digging into his matted fur as if she were steering him. The animatronic lunged again, his jaw unhinging with a sickening pop, too wide, too many teeth, and Brandon felt hot breath on the back of his neck as they barely dodged another swipe. The floor gave way with a groan that sounded almost relieved, like the factory had been waiting years for this exact moment to collapse beneath them. Brandon's stomach lurched as gravity yanked him down, Rachel's scream shredding the air beside him. They hit something slick, not concrete, not metal, but a slope of something rubbery and wet that sent them skidding into darkness. The last thing Brandon saw before the shadows swallowed them whole was Ash's dollface peering over the edge, her stitched grin stretching impossibly wide as Huggy's claws flexed in anticipation.
I think we lost them.
Brandon gasped, his ribs burning as he pressed against the damp, curved wall of whatever chute they'd slid into. Rachel's flashlight flickered weakly in her shaking hands, casting jagged shadows across the tunnel's ribbed metal interior. A service shaft, maybe, or some kind of refuse, chute long since clogged with decades of forgotten stuffing and moldering plastic. Then the roar came. Not from above them, but from inside the tunnel, deeper in the blackness. It wasn't Huggy's wet, gurgling snarl. This was higher-pitched, a sound like fabric ripping under tension, threaded with something that vibrated wrong against Brandon's eardrums. Rachel's flashlight beam jerked forward just as the creature rounded a bend in the shaft. Yanabe's body was a grotesque tapestry of unraveling threads and exposed stuffing, its limbs elongated like stretched taffy, each joint bulging with knots the size of fists. Its face, if it could be called that, was a lopsided patchwork of mismatched buttons, some sewn directly into the yarn flesh, others dangling by threads that dripped a thick, syrupy black fluid. The worst part was its mouth. A vertical slit running from where its chin should be all the way up between its button eyes, puckered with crude, overlapping stitches that split apart with a sound like Velcro tearing as it roared again. Rachel didn't hesitate. She swung the shotgun up in one fluid motion and fired 3 deafening rounds into Yanabe's chest. The creature's yarn body absorbed the bullets with sickening squelches, the projectiles disappearing into its stuffing like stones dropped in tar. The buttons on its face rattled with what might have been laughter. Stitches stretching wider as it took another lurching step forward.
Damn it!
Damn it, Rachel snarled, racking another shell. Brandon grabbed her wrist before she could waste the 4th shot. The realization hit them both at once. Whatever dark magic kept these abominations moving, it wasn't anything bullets could stop.
Give it here.
Brandon hissed, fingers already glowing with the same eerie blue light that had reshaped a Mario coin into a star fragment back in that demon-infested warp zone. The transformation was faster this time. The shotgun's barrel split open like molten taffy, its components twisting, elongating, until a flamethrower nozzle spat sparks into the damp air. Yanabe's stitches screamed when the fire hit. Real screaming, the kind that came from whatever human throats had been sewn into its construction. The creature's yarn body blackened instantly, threads curling like burning hair, stuffing igniting into a pyre of synthetic snow. Buttons popped like gunshots as the heat split them apart, and for one horrific second, Brandon saw faces beneath the yarn, dozens of them, mouths stretched wide in silent agony, before the whole monstrosity collapsed into a smoldering heap.
Come on, Rachel. We have to keep moving.
Brandon gasped, his fingers still tingling with the afterglow of the transformation. The stench of burning yarn and melted plastic clung to their clothes as they stumbled down the service shaft, their footsteps echoing in a rhythm that felt too loud, too alive in this corpse of a factory. The tunnel walls pulsed around them, not with heat, but with something worse, something aware, the metal groaning like an old man shifting in his sleep. Rachel's flashlight beam cut through the darkness ahead, then suddenly, nothing. The shaft ended in a jagged mouth of broken grating, and beyond it, a cavern so vast the light couldn't reach the other side. Brandon's stomach dropped as he realized they weren't looking at another factory level. They were staring into a city, a warped, miniature metropolis of tilted dollhouses and gutted toy stores, streets paved with cracked alphabet blocks, lampposts made from twisted Tinker toy rods. Somewhere in the distance, a broken Ferris wheel turned lazily, its cars dangling like hanged men.
That's got to be where the star piece is.
Rachel whispered, her voice hushed with something between awe and terror. The beam of her flashlight trembled as it traced the outline of a cathedral-sized dollhouse, its pink paint peeling away to reveal walls studded with teeth. Brandon didn't ask what kind of toys needed molars embedded in their architecture. He wasn't sure he wanted to know. Rachel's scream hadn't even finished echoing when the walls answered. The service shaft breathed, a slow metallic expansion and contraction that sent rust flakes showering down like dirty snow. Brandon whirled, pressing his back against Rachel's as the voice rolled over them again, each syllable vibrating through the metal under their feet.
Ash said you'd be coming.
The prototype wasn't behind them. It was the tunnel, the walls flexing inward with grotesque familiarity, panels sliding aside to reveal pulsing veins of blackened wiring that twitched like dying snakes. One massive eye, milky white and veined with ruptured capillaries, swiveled into view through a crack in the ceiling, its pupil dilating with a wet click as it focused on them. Rachel's boot skidded on something slick, not oil but saliva, as the entire shaft tilted downward, forcing them toward the gaping maw of the dollhouse city. The prototype's laughter followed, a sound like 1,000 dolls being disemboweled at once.
Welcome to the better place.
It boomed, the words warping as they traveled through the factory's rusted intestines.
My city beneath this cursed factory.
The prototype's laughter wasn't just sound, it was a vibration, crawling up Brandon's spine like spider legs made of broken glass. The milky eye blinked once, its lid scraping shut with the sound of a rusted garage door, and when it reopened, the tunnel walls split, not cracks, seams. The entire shaft unfolded around them like the world's most horrific pop-up book, panels peeling back to reveal the thing that had been watching them through the walls all along. The prototype wasn't just in the factory, it was the factory, its spindly limbs woven from corroded conveyor belts, its bulbous abdomen a sagging mass of fused plastic molds and tangled wiring. But the head, God, the head. A jester's cap stitched from stained plush flopped over one side of its face, the bells jingling with a sound that made Brandon's teeth ache. The other side was pure spider, 8 clustered eyes dripping black fluid, mandibles working behind a grinning mouthplate welded from old playground swing chains. Every movement sent tremors through the floor as its too many legs adjusted their grip, each one ending in a different nightmare. A claw from a carnival grabber machine here, a mangled doll hand there, even one that was just a rusted fire axe dragging sparks against the concrete. The prototype's laughter settled into a wet, clicking hum as its conveyor belt limbs gestured toward the miniature city below.
First stop, the nursery.
It rasped, voice vibrating through the rusted metal under Brandon's feet. The descent was sickening. Not stairs, but a slope of fused plastic dolls' arms, their tiny fingers interlaced into a grotesque staircase that squished underfoot. Rachel's grip on Brandon's wrist was the only thing stopping him from sliding into the abyss below. The nursery wasn't a building. It was a ribcage, huge, yellowed plastic ribs arching over a playground where a porcelain doll in a tattered pink dress pushed a rusted swing. The doll's face was cracked down the middle, one blue eye missing, but the other tracked them with unsettling precision.
Copy.
The prototype crooned, its jester cap bells tinkling as it leaned down.
Say hello to our guest.
The porcelain doll's head rotated with a sound like grinding teeth.
They're pretty,
Poppy whispered, then giggled, a sound like shattered glass in a blender. Beside her, a judge's gavel slammed down with a crack that made Brandon flinch. The judge wasn't a doll, he was a marionette, his wooden limbs jerking on invisible strings, his painted eyes wide and unblinking.
Elite Ludwig.
The prototype said, tapping one sharpened finger against the marionette's bench.
Father always loved order.
The judge's mouth unhinged suddenly, vomiting a torrent of tiny, writhing alphabet blocks that spelled out guilty before scattering across the asphalt streets. Rachel's flashlight beam trembled as it traced the outlines of other toys moving in the shadows, a lion with a music box where its heart should be, a soldier with his stitches splitting to reveal sawdust intestines.
We were children.
The prototype murmured, its voice suddenly human soft, the spider legs on its face retracting for one vulnerable moment.
Orphans, test subjects. The scientists called us expendable.
One of its conveyor belt limbs unspooled suddenly, revealing a patchwork of Polaroid photos fused into the rubber, children's faces, some smiling, some screaming, all sewn together with wire. Brandon's stomach lurched when he recognized Ash in one of the photos, her real face before the stitches before the yarn. She was holding hands with a smaller girl.
Poppy.
He breathed. The prototype's milky eye swiveled toward him.
Sister always was his favorite.
It hissed, the jester cap's bells jingling wildly as its voice splintered into 3 different pitches at once.
Until she was.
The Polaroid of Ash and Poppy suddenly blackened at the edges, the image curling inward as if burning from within. Behind them, Poppy's rusted swing squealed as she kicked her legs higher, her porcelain face cracking wider with each arc.
Daddy says liars get stitched,
she sang, her voice ricocheting off the ribcage walls. The judge's gavel came down again, and this time Brandon saw the truth, the wooden. Mallet was a human femur wrapped in leather, the sound it made too wet, too organic. Elliot Ludwig's marionette strings weren't strings at all, but sinew, glistening in the dim light as they pulsed with something dark.
Rachel!
I hissed, tapping my thigh twice, our signal for now. Rachel didn't hesitate.
Sorry, Poppy,
she muttered, and the shotgun blast shattered the porcelain doll's head before the last syllable left her lips. Poppy's body toppled backward, her dress fluttering like a dying moth. And for one grotesque second, her remaining eye rolled toward me, wide and accusatory, before her body crumbled into ceramic dust. The prototype's roar shook the miniature city, sending alphabet blocks skittering across the asphalt like fleeing insects.
No! I'll unstitch you!
Its voice wasn't a sound anymore. It was a physical force, buckling the ribcage nursery around us, sending cracks spiderwebbing up the plastic bones overhead. We ran, our boots slipping on Poppy's scattered fragments, the shotgun's acrid smoke still clinging to Rachel's jacket. The building ahead pulsed, not with light but with something deeper, like a heartbeat behind reality. The door groaned under my grip, its surface slick with something between oil and saliva, and when it gave way, the air inside was stale and electric. The star piece hovered above a rusted operating table, its jagged edges casting fractured shadows that moved wrong, twisting like living things.
Well now,
a voice crackled, each word laced with static.
I see you have arrived.
The doctor wasn't a robot, not entirely. His torso was a mess of welded steel plates, but his arms were human, the skin stretched taut over too many joints, fingers ending in syringe tips. His face was the worst part. A CRT monitor bolted to his shoulders, the screen flickering with a pixelated grin that didn't sync with his voice.
Patient files indicate you're right on time.
He chuckled, adjusting a dial embedded in his chest. The star pieces glowed dimmed as he stepped between us and it, his syringe fingers clicking together like scissor blades. Rachel didn't speak. She didn't need to. I felt her shift beside me, the way her breathing slowed, that pre-battle calm I'd learned to recognize. The doctor's screen flickered to a frowning face.
He
tusked, wagging a needle finger.
No firearms in the operating theater.
His other hand twitched, and the star piece screamed, a high-pitched whine that sent us both to our knees, clutching our ears. The shadows it cast writhed violently, snapping at our ankles like starving dogs. The sword materialized in my hands with a blue-white flash. Not steel, but something sharper, colder, forged from the same star stuff that twisted worlds. The doctor barely had time to pivot before I cleaved through his monitor face, glass shattering in a burst of static and sparks. His laughter crackled through broken speakers as syringe fingers jabbed at my ribs, too slow. The second slash severed his right arm at the elbow, the limb hitting the floor with a wet thunk and twitching like a dying spider. Rachel lunged for the star piece just as the ceiling breathed. The entire building shuddered, not from impact, but like a living thing recoiling from pain, before the roof peeled back in a screech of buckling metal. The prototype's conveyor belt fingers curled through the gap, each segmented joint dripping molten plastic as it gripped the rafters and pulled. The sword left my hand with a sound like a lightning strike, not steel cutting air, but reality itself unzipping. It punched through the prototype's pulsating core with a wet crunch, the blade buried to the hilt in the nest of fused wiring and throbbing plastic veins. For one suspended second, the factory held its breath. Then the blood came, not red, but black, thick as motor oil and stinking of burnt rubber, gushing in arcs from the wound like a ruptured hydraulic line. The prototype didn't scream, it unraveled, its conveyor belt limbs spasmed, whipping through the air with enough force to shear a support beam in half. The jester cap slid sideways, bells jingling madly as its milky eye rolled back in its socket.
Sister was right.
It gargled, voice glitching like a dying tape recorder, before its torso split open with a sound like 1,000 zippers tearing at once. The collapse started there, in its chest cavity, the factory walls buckling inward as if the building itself was a dying lung. I didn't have time to watch. The star piece burned in my palm, its edges slicing into my skin as the floor tilted violently beneath us. Rachel grabbed my wrist as the ceiling rained down light fixtures in shredded plush.
Brandon!
She screamed, and I pushed, not with my hands, but with whatever part of me understood how to fold space between fingertips. The portal tore open with a sound like a mirror shattering in reverse, its edges flickering blue-white. We fell through just as the operating table imploded behind us. We landed hard on cracked asphalt 20 yards from the factory gates. Rachel's elbow jammed into my ribs as we rolled, the impact sending white-hot pains spiderwebbing across my vision. When I blinked it away, the sight that greeted us wasn't just a collapsing building. It was the earth itself opening. The factory's neon signs sputtered as the ground beneath it liquefied. The massive Playtime Co., letters tilting at a drunken angle before disappearing into the widening maw. Brick walls folded inward like wet cardboard, glass shattering in slow-motion cascades, as the sinkhole swallowed entire wings whole. A choked scream. Human, not animatronic, pierced the cacophony, and I saw Huggy Wuggy clinging to a collapsing fire escape, his blue fur singed black where flames licked up his limbs. His button eyes met mine for one horrifying second before the metal framework twisted like taffy, dragging him down into the darkness. Rachel's lips were chapped and tasted like gunpowder when she kissed me, but I didn't care. The third star piece burned between our palms where our hands met, its fractured edges slotting together with the other two in a silent click that vibrated up my arms. Behind us, the last screams of Playtime Co. faded into the hungry earth, swallowed by a sinkhole that smelled of melted plastic and childhoods cut short.
You're bleeding!
Rachel murmured against my mouth. She was right. My left sleeve was soaked through where the doctor's syringe fingers had grazed me, the fabric sticking to skin in a way that promised stitches later. I barely felt it. The star pieces pulsed in our joined hands, their light painting Rachel's face in shifting blues and whites, catching the flecks of gold in her eyes that only showed up when she thought we might actually win. A car alarm wailed 3 blocks over. The sound weirdly mundane after hours of animatronic shrieks. Somewhere beyond the chain-link fence surrounding the factory's corpse, a streetlight flickered on despite the midday sun. One of those small, wrong things that happened whenever we used the star pieces. Reality itself was wearing thin at the edges, like cheap fabric rubbed raw between fingers. We knew that we were getting closer to ending this nightmare for good. After Brandon and his girlfriend Rachel managed to escape the nightmare at Playtime Co., things didn't really get easier. Almost as soon as they thought they were safe, aliens snatched them up and whisked them away to some far-off planet called Slender. Slender was weird, The whole place seemed to be crawling with tall, thin aliens who looked exactly like Slender Man. Rachel couldn't help herself. She blurted out.
Is Slender Man an alien?
The question hung in the air. I didn't really know how to answer, so I just said,
I'm not sure what these creatures want, but I'm about to find out.
Pretty soon, one of those strange aliens came up to us and explained their deal. Turns out, they needed our help to kill a cosmic tapeworm named Auro. Apparently, Auro was devouring their world, and if we could take it down, they'd reward us with a star piece. That got both of us pretty excited. Not going to lie, this would be our 4th star piece. I tried to sound confident.
Don't worry. We'll take care of it.
Rachel was more practical.
How do we kill it?
She asked. The alien gave us a solution that didn't sound much like science, just gross.
Only your stomach acid can melt Auro,
it said. So Rachel started puking and, well, I joined in. The aliens, surprisingly efficient, got right to work making acid bombs out of our puke, like that was just something you do on a Tuesday.
We only get one shot at this,
I said, trying to hype up the moment. As soon as I finished, our row appeared out of the ground. This thing was massive, like, impossibly huge. We all threw our acid bombs, but mine malfunctioned and went off in my hand. Acid splashed everywhere, covering everyone in our stomach juices. The blast wiped out every Slender Man alien in an instant. Our row was gone, but the price was heavy, a whole race lost. Rachel grabbed the star piece from the ashes, and we hurried onto one of the alien ships. Once we finally touched down back on Earth, Rachel let out a big sigh.
I'm so glad that we're back home.
Yeah, me too,
I replied, stepping out onto familiar ground. The weight of everything hit me, but I tried to shake it off.
ready to stop Darkiplier and finally save the world. I want to put this apocalyptic nightmare behind us.
Rachel nodded, almost smiling, her relief obvious.
Let's find the last star piece,
she said. For the first time in ages, it felt like we might actually see the end of this hell. But while we tried to savor the moment, something strange was happening back on planet Slender. Hidden beneath the surface, something stirred. Without warning, a swarm of thick black tentacles erupted from underground, twisting and writhing as if the nightmare wasn't nearly finished yet. After Brandon and his girlfriend, Rachel, managed to escape that alien planet using one of the enemy ships, and with the 4th star piece in hand, they felt closer than ever to saving the world and finally putting an end to Darkiplier's reign. We touched down at the ruins of Freddy's mega pizzaplex. The whole state, just endless wasteland, all wrecked by Darkiplier's rampage. Rachel looked around at the broken mess and sighed.
How are we supposed to find the last star piece in all this?
She said, shaking her head. But I had an idea. I pressed my hand to the cracked wall of the building, closed my eyes and focused, rewinding time until everything snapped back. The destruction melted away, the walls rebuilt themselves, and the pizzaplex looked fresh again, like nothing had ever happened.
Incredible. It's like we traveled back before any of this went down,
Rachel said, genuine amazement on her face. I nodded.
Let's get that last star piece.
We stepped inside. Out of nowhere, scared staff bots bolted past us, some of them practically tripping over their own mechanical feet to reach the exit.
Come on, we have to get the hell out of here.
One staff bot shouted, disappearing through the door. Rachel blinked, watching them go.
That was weird,
she muttered. But we didn't let it stop us. We made our way through the lobby and into the elevator, riding it down to the atrium. The place felt haunted, quiet, but with that lingering feeling that something was about to happen. In the middle of the atrium stage, Roxanne Wolf's animatronic corpse lay mangled, wires everywhere, pieces of her shell scattered.
No, Roxy.
No, Roxy, Rachel whispered, her voice breaking just a little. We didn't stick around. Instead, we set out for Roxy Raceway, drawn by a heavy metal door at the far end, a door rumored to go deep underground. The silence felt so thick it pressed on our ears. We ran for the door, pulled it open, and found a staircase spiraling downward. As we descended, the air grew colder, sounds started echoing, hard metallic bangs. Something moaning in the shadows, almost inhuman. Honestly, we'd seen enough that it barely fazed us anymore. We kept moving, eyes ahead, steps quick and quiet. Rachel rolled her eyes and smirked.
You know, I bet we're just making those ghosts mad, completely ignoring them like this.
At the bottom, we entered a room so dark it was like wading through black water. Then, in one corner, two lights flickered, cold and yellow in the pitch black. They crept closer. The mimic, just an endoskeleton underneath, but this thing could copy anything it saw, any movement, any voice. Suddenly, the mimic lunged. I shoved Rachel aside, took the hit myself, and tumbled hard.
Brandon!
She called, but something odd happened. I started glowing, brighter and brighter.
Relax, I'm okay,
I said, forcing a smile through the pain. I found my strength, struck back, and knocked the mimic's head clear off. Then I yanked open its robotic stomach. Inside there was a note. I recognized Darkiplier's handwriting instantly. The message chilled me.
Too late.
He'd already found the star piece and taken it. Groaning, I crumpled the note in my fist.
How much power does this guy need? Seriously, enough is enough.
My frustration boiled over. The fact that Darkiplier stayed one step ahead drove me crazy. Rachel steadied me, grabbing my shoulder.
We'll stop him. I know we will.
Her faith never wavered. I grinned at her, despite everything.
Thanks, Rachel. No matter how dark it gets, you always find a way to cheer me up.
Then louder, almost like a promise, I said,
We're coming for you, Darkiplier. And when we find you, you'll wish you never messed with us.
We're coming for you, Darkiplier, and when we find you, you'll wish you never messed with us. We both felt it, determination settling into our bones. This nightmare wasn't going to last much longer. We'd bring back the world, drag it out of this apocalypse, and finally write the ending ourselves. Brandon and his girlfriend Rachel had just realized that, once again, Darkiplier managed to stay a step ahead. The final star piece was missing. We couldn't find it anywhere, but Rachel and I had a hunch. It had to be wherever Darkiplier was hiding.
This makes no sense. Where could he even be? Why would he bother destroying the world just to leave it behind? I thought he wanted to rule everything.
Rachel said, clearly frustrated. Right then, this demonic creature appeared, dressed up like a twisted knight. Rachel and I tensed up, ready for a fight, but he held up his hands.
Relax. I'm not here to hurt you. Name's Nightmare. I want Darkiplier gone as much as you do. I need your help.
Then, where is he?
I demanded, barely holding back my anger. I kind of wanted to tear Darkiplier apart with my bare hands. Nightmare answered simply,
He's in the dark dimension.
Rachel shot me a look and, without a hint of fear, said,
Well, what are we waiting for? Let's go.
Nightmare shook his head.
Only people twisted with evil, people who have real darkness inside them, can enter that world.
Before either of us could react, he rammed his hand right through Rachel's chest. She crumpled instantly, gone before I could even shout her name. I just stood there, shocked, until something deep and cold moved through me, like the darkness he'd mentioned was soaking into my bones. I screamed. The rage hit so hard I actually breathed fire. Nightmare just grinned. It was the reaction he'd wanted. Without another word, he grabbed me and pushed me through some kind of portal. Next thing I know, I'm in the dark dimension. It's impossible to describe how creepy this place is. The ground beneath me seemed to pulse with shadows. Up ahead, way in the distance, there stood a massive, ominous castle. No doubt in my mind, that's where Darkiplier must be. This journey had been terrifying from the beginning, but now, as I stood facing that dreadful castle, I realized it would all end here. I had to move fast, if I was going to. Save the world, and get that last star piece away from Darkiplier. I couldn't waste another second. Brandon finally made it to the dark dimension. This was it. The last star piece was somewhere out there, and the whole world depended on him. All the suspense, all that chaos, and now he was about to face the end of this apocalyptic nightmare. I was heading for Darkiplier's castle, but man, it's way farther than I thought. I'm walking through this forest, and the trees all look like they're straight out of a horror movie. There are creepy noises echoing from every direction, growls, whispers, something low and throaty that doesn't sound friendly at all. As I kept going, I started hearing this creepy crying, mixed with some twisted, demonic laughter. Coming from this old, rundown building hidden between some dead trees, I figured, why not check it out? As soon as I stepped inside, I spotted a crumpled note on the floor. It said,
The Maze of Fear.
Yeah, I'll admit it, I was creeped out. I hurried out and looked ahead. Way off in the distance, I saw these massive stone walls reaching up to the sky.
That must be the Maze of Fear,
I muttered to myself, and I started making my way over. But as I got closer, I heard a loud, familiar sound. Kind of like SpongeBob, honestly. I groaned out loud.
Oh God, please not SpongeBob again.
I always knew I'd have to deal with him one way or another, but I didn't expect it to be now. Last time we fought, he was insanely overpowered. I couldn't defeat him. I had to banish him to another world. Even with a whole team backing me up, we weren't enough. Anyway, I entered the maze and tried wandering around, searching for the right path. But it was hopeless. I kept getting lost, running into dead ends. At one point, this skeletal hand burst out of the ground and grabbed my ankle. I kicked free and bolted, hearing the rattling sound of bones as the skeleton scrambled after me. I glanced back, and then real panic hit. There was a whole army of skeletons chasing me, all making those ghostly moaning noises that would haunt anyone after midnight. I kept sprinting until I slammed into another dead end. Cornered, I turned to face them, and to my surprise, they hesitated. They looked nervous, if you can call it that when their faces are just empty eye sockets. The skeletons started backing away. I was glowing, like seriously glowing, and suddenly I went full Super Saiyan mode. They all freaked out, stumbling over each other in a frenzy.
It was Darkiplier. He sent us.
One of them stammered, still shaking.
He's even scarier than Darkiplier,
another whispered. I stepped forward and said,
Can you guys just show me the way out?
Right away, new master.
One skeleton replied. They led me to another dead end, pressed some hidden button, and a secret path opened up.
I never would have figured that out. I would have been stuck in this hellish maze forever,
I admitted. When we finally escaped the maze, I looked up and saw two massive demons standing guard over a giant gate. Behind it, Darkiplier's castle. Waited. This was the final trial, and I refused to let any demon, no matter how big, stand in my way. After clawing my way through that terrifying maze, I ended up in front of a massive gate guarded by two enormous demons. The skeletons that led me here just walked off, leaving me alone to face whatever came next. One of the demons eyed me and said,
You're the one after the star pieces. But your journey stops here unless you can get past us.
He was this giant skeleton draped in a reaper's cloak, towering over me like death itself. The other demons stepped forward, all stone, spikes, and menace.
You better use everything you got, because we are not holding back.
He growled. I could feel the tension in the air. These two weren't bluffing.
All right, bring it.
I shot back, trying not to show how nervous I actually felt. With that, the stone demon swung his massive mace, sending a gust of wind so strong it knocked me halfway across the arena. I muttered,
All right, think.
trying to pull myself. Together, I focused my powers and conjured a sword out of thin air, then lunged straight at the skeleton demon. But when I swung, my blade just passed right through him. He chuckled. Great, a giant skeleton ghost. How was I supposed to beat him now? Then it hit me, there was one way. I steadied myself and transformed into a ghost, channeling energy like Danny Phantom.
So you're finally ready to get serious.
The skeleton demon powered up, charged at me, but I teleported behind him and slammed my ghostly sword into his back. That got his attention. He started throwing flaming, screaming skulls my way, each one more vicious than the last. I dodged and blocked as best I could, but one skull latched onto my sword and wouldn't let go. I tried shaking it off, but it exploded. And sent me flying. Honestly, even though I was pissed, I couldn't help but feel excited. This fight was nuts, and I wanted to see how it would end. I got back up and fired energy blasts at him. He shrugged them off like it was nothing. So I upped the ante and launched a barrage, filling the air with smoke and chaos. Then I teleported, disappearing from sight. The skeleton demon was baffled. He muttered as the smoke cleared and he realized I was gone. I reappeared behind him, transformed my sword into a giant blade, and swung with everything I had. The blow sliced clean through his neck, sending his skull crashing to the ground and leaving a huge crater. The stone demon watched his partner fall.
You actually managed to beat one of us, but I'm not going down so easy.
He snarled, then swung his mace and smashed me into the air with a bone-crushing blow. I could barely move, but I knew I'd be dead if I stayed down. So I forced myself up, summoned the last of my strength, and transformed, unbreakable. When the stone demon brought his mace down for another brutal hit, the thing shattered to pieces. His eyes widened in rage and a little bit of fear.
No, impossible,
he roared. He threw wild punches, but they bounced off me, harmless as rain. I cocked my arm back and let loose a devastating punch, blasting right through his stone body. Sand and pebbles oozed from his wounds. He crumpled to his knees. I didn't wait. I leapt up and kicked his massive head clear off, sending it flying miles away, right to the doorstep of Darkiplier's castle. Breathless, I healed my wounds and headed for the castle gates. Just as I got there, a portal opened, and out stepped my girlfriend Rachel and the demon knight Nightmare.
I thought Nightmare killed you.
I blurted out, still stunned.
It was just an illusion.
Rachel explained.
He had to draw out the darkness inside you, so you could get through the door.
Nightmare spoke up.
I'm actually the king of this world, but Darkiplier stole my throne, and he's destroying the entire dark dimension.
We all stared up at the castle, knowing this was it. The final battle was coming, and together, we had a real shot at beating Darkiplier and saving the world. Once Brandon, his girlfriend Rachel, and the demon king Nightmare made it to Darkiplier's castle, the whole place looked straight out of a fever dream. Nightmare just looked up at those towering black walls and said,
Time to take back my throne.
Without wasting a second, we started marching up to the front door. I barely thought about it before blasting the entrance wide open with a surge of energy. No point knocking when you're not here for pleasantries. The second we crossed that threshold, I got this gut-turning sense of dread. Shadows moved everywhere. Demonic creatures with glowing eyes leered at us from every angle, and I swear I heard a clown's laugh echoing somewhere deep inside. Not a funhouse kind of laugh, more like something grinning in the dark that already knows your name. The creatures didn't wait. They rushed us in a wave of claws and teeth. Nightmare lived up to his name, hacking those things apart with his sword like he was born for it. I hurled blasts of pure energy, blowing demons' heads clean off as I went. And Rachel unloaded her shotgun right into the mob, picking them off one after another. But I couldn't stay put. I took to the air and flew deeper into the castle, slicing down demon after demon. That clown laughed kept popping up closer every time until I finally spotted him. Ronald McDonald. Of course it was Ronald, just standing by a doorway, grinning and waving me over like this was all some sick joke. He slipped inside, so I followed, heart pounding like I'd swallowed a jackhammer. He turned to me and chuckled.
Miss me?
Last time I saw Ronald was during the McDonald's massacre. Yeah, that one. He'd slaughtered everyone before killing himself, so the sight of him still breathing and laughing wasn't something I could just brush off.
I watched you die.
I said, barely keeping my grip on my sword.
How the hell are you still alive?
Ronald just shrugged, unfazed.
Darkaplayer brought me back. He revived the ones who gathered the most souls.
He grinned like we were catching up after old times.
Are you ready to die?
He asked, that laugh coming back, meaner than ever. I didn't wait for him to strike.
You're not the one living through this.
I snapped and jumped at him, cutting into him over and over. Still, he laughed right through it, no pain on his face. Not right. He spat this burning acid at me, and my face started melting off. I could feel flesh just dripping away. I screamed and tried to brace, but he disappeared, soundless except for that laugh that suddenly breathed right up against my neck. I spun around way too late. He stabbed me in the gut and just kept going, gutting me so fast I could barely breathe. Every stab felt like a hammer in my chest, blood everywhere. Didn't matter, I needed to survive. I staggered back, pushed myself into the air, and started using my powers to force my body to heal. He wouldn't give me time though. Ronald lunged again. I blasted him with a surge of energy as I kept healing, desperate and pissed off. I managed to blow off his left leg. He fell, but his eyes just went wilder. Rachel's voice rang out from behind, furious.
I'll kill you!
I didn't give Ronald a chance. As he crawled closer, I blasted off his right arm and kept firing, tearing him apart. Only when there was truly nothing left did I lower my hand.
Try coming back from that,
I whispered, half to myself. Meanwhile, back in the halls, Rachel and Nightmare were locked in a brutal battle with those demonic thralls. But then Rachel heard a strange squeaking. One of those noises you feel in your bones. She followed it, her shotgun ready, into a room crammed with bones and half-rotten corpses stacked to the ceiling. And in the middle, just waiting for her, stood none other than Mickey Mouse. Not the cartoon. This Mickey was demonic, a twisted monster who'd once blown up everyone at Disney World with a bomb leveling the place. Rachel stared at him, horror curling her lip.
You're supposed to be dead,
she hissed, but Mickey only tilted his head, mouth stretching impossibly wide.
Oh shit, he's going to eat me,
she breathed, backpedaling and firing her shotgun. The shots didn't slow him down. His jaw just extended, sharp teeth framing a black maw that stretched wide enough to swallow an entire elephant. With a snarl, his slimy, monstrous tongue shot out, grabbed Rachel, and dragged her inside. For a second, the hall went quiet. Then Mickey exploded from the inside. Blood, guts, and unnameable filth everywhere. Rachel had just killed him from the inside out and stood, panting, dripping in gore, but alive. Eventually, we all gathered back by the castle's entrance. Nightmare stood above a mountain of demon bodies, sword slick with black blood. He looked up the main stairway, not out of breath, not even pleased.
The throne room is just ahead,
he said. Rachel nodded, wiping Mickey's remains off her face.
Lead the way.
We followed Nightmare upstairs, our nerves wound tighter with every step. When we entered the throne room, there was Darkiplier waiting on his throne, that smug look never leaving his face, like this was just a game he was winning. He studied us, then smirked.
Maybe I underestimated you. Shame you did the same with me.
He snapped his fingers. And just like that, all 4 of our star pieces floated out of our hands. He wove them together with his own and in an instant, formed a blazing power star.
Thanks for bringing the star pieces. I barely had to lift a finger.
He leaned back, almost bored.
Now I can finally become unstoppable. Not even your powers can save you now.
Rachel dropped to her knees, all that fight draining away.
No, all that for nothing,
she whispered, broken. But before despair could finish her, that familiar, evil laughter slithered out of the shadows. SpongeBob and King Mario came stomping into the light, looking almost as bad as we remembered them. Scars, burns, hatred radiating off them.
Not these cycles again,
I groaned. King Mario laughed, stepping forward.
You really thought it would be that easy?
SpongeBob was licking his ruined lips, pointing at his face.
Oh, can I kill him now? Look at what Brandon and his friends did to me!
His missing eye and countless holes told the whole story. Years ago, we exiled him to a blistering planet. That's probably where he got those nasty burn marks. SpongeBob was furious, completely ready to dish out some revenge.
No, not yet. I've got bigger plans for him,
Darkiplier said, practically smirking.
Give me back my throne.
Nightmare shouted and rushed at Darkiplier, but Darkiplier just started teleporting circles around him like he was showing off. It looked like he was just playing, with Nightmare making him look foolish. Out of nowhere, Darkiplier tossed Nightmare across the room using the Force, as if he was auditioning for Star Wars.
He's not unbeatable yet. Not until he gets to the moon and sets the power star on the moon's altar,
I said.
Exactly. There's still hope.
Rachel chimed in. Nightmare scrambled back to his feet.
We can finish this and save our worlds,
he declared. SpongeBob wasn't convinced.
Oh, hell no! We're not letting you pull any tricks!
He snapped.
Let's go!
Yelled King Mario, rallying everyone. At that point, SpongeBob and King Mario rushed us, attacking with wild determination. We dodged, blocked, and countered their every move. We deflected blows that would have flattened anybody else. The fight dragged on for hours. And Darkiplier started getting annoyed.
Sorry, but I've got places to be, and I gotta declare,
he said, then slipped through a portal straight to the moon.
Go now, I'll handle these two.
Nightmare told us, slashing through King Mario and Sponge Bob. Rachel and I didn't hesitate. We locked eyes, nodded, and jumped through the portal. As soon as we landed on the moon, I used my powers to make sure we could actually breathe up there.
This is it. The end game.
I said. Off in the distance, Darkiplier already stood at the moon's altar. For the first time, I felt a surge of real hope. I knew we could stop Darkiplier. We could reverse the devastation he'd unleashed on Earth and take back the future. If there was any chance to save the world, it was up to us. We weren't just fighting, we were the only heroes Earth had left. When Brandon and Rachel landed on the moon for the final showdown with Darkiplier, he used his powers so they could both breathe up there. We stood, nerves on edge, at the moon's altar, just meters from Darkiplier, who was ready to place the power star on the altar. If he succeeded, everyone knew he'd be unstoppable. Something wild happened as Darkiplier was about to put the star in place. The star just vanished, right out of his hands.
What the hell?
He shouted, voice echoing, totally thrown off. That's when Sonic showed up, holding the star like it was no big deal.
Thanks for saving our worlds,
he said, giving me a nod. He was talking about the old days when I was chasing after haunted video games and cursed cartoons. Life felt a lot less complicated back then. Rachel waved.
Hi, Sonic, joining the fight.
I'm not the only one who wants to stop this guy,
Sonic replied, then pointed behind us. That's when things got completely wild. Thousands of portals opened up, and characters from every cartoon and video game I'd ever heard of came pouring onto the battlefield. Sonic's whole crew came. Luigi and Rosalina stepped through a portal too. I saw Sora, Mickey, Donald, and Goofy from Kingdom Hearts. There was Crash Bandicoot, Spyro, Kirby, a flock of Pokémon, the neighbor from Hello Neighbor, even more kept coming. Portals kept spitting out new faces, the moon swarmed with heroes. Darkiplier's eyes, 2 red pinpricks, grew huge. His jaw dropped. I glanced at Rachel and started laughing. This battle was starting to look winnable. Darkiplier sighed, then snapped his fingers. Suddenly, an army of his own rivals popped up. Some were my friends, Ash Curry, Luigi Kid, Corix Genshin, but still possessed, turned into his puppets. Sponge Bob and King Mario arrived too. Rachel spotted them and went pale.
Wait, does this mean Nightmare is dead?
She asked. Last we'd seen, Nightmare had stayed behind to slow down Sponge Bob and King Mario at Darkiplier's castle. Darkiplier just gestured, and his demonic army charged. I focused, summoning 2 giant allies, a ghost skeleton reaper and a hulking stone demon covered in spikes. These 2 had been my enemies before I reached the castle. To get past their gate, I'd had to defeat them. Now they were on my side. Darkiplier looked genuinely furious for maybe the first time. The cockiness was gone. All at once, we charged, me, Rachel, Sonic, and every hero we had. Sonic zipped through foes, matching the chaos of the battle. The fighting was brutal. Bodies hit the ground hard. Blood and guts raining on us. And even Sonic, for all his speed, couldn't dodge everything. The fire blast from King Mario curved back and hit him in the face, burning it off instantly. Corix Genshin swept through our ranks with his katana. Luigi Kid hurled green fireballs everywhere. Ash Curry scaled cartoon characters, slicing off heads as she went. Even though our army stretched for miles, the death toll on our side was enormous. I tried to push through to Darkiplier, but Sponge Bob intercepted me. He nailed me with a blow so hard. I flew halfway across the moon, the impact echoing in my bones. While I struggled to shake it off, King Mario swiped the power star off Sonic's corpse, only to be stopped by Rosalina and Luigi, who sprang up to challenge him. King Mario's voice was guttural, twisted.
Oh, little bro, you hanging out with the galaxy's sluttiest princess now? You're not my brother anymore,
Luigi growled. Rosalina just glared.
We're going to end this.
King Mario blitzed them, but Rosalina's power was too much. Luigi's acid-green fireballs burned holes through King Mario, who screamed.
No, I will not die here.
Rosalina didn't blink.
Too late.
She yanked his head clean off and chucked it away. She grabbed the power star and tried to keep it safe for me, but the battle was getting more chaotic every second. The neighbor tore through demon after demon, until SpongeBob pumped himself up to giant size, grabbed him and swallowed him whole.
Delicious! Who's next?
He roared, his voice inhuman. He charged me, but the giant stone demon's mace came out of nowhere, smashing SpongeBob and rattling the whole moon. The stone demon yelled,
We'll keep SpongeBob busy. Get the power star on that altar.
I nodded, dodging and slashing at demons as I sprinted for Rosalina. Somewhere in the chaos, I lost sight of Rachel, but I finally reached Rosalina. She was about to hand me the star when suddenly a green ball of acid fire splattered across her face, melting her head instantly. Luigi Kid stood there, monstrous, nightmare-fueled.
I'll take that star now.
Luigi appeared, ready to fight.
I'll handle this, imposter,
he said. I snatched up the power star.
Don't kill him. He's still in there,
I insisted before racing off. The altar seemed miles away. Demons swarmed me and I cut through them, desperate. Out of nowhere, I got punched so hard I flew to the other side of the moon. Dazed, I got up, spotted something flying toward me. No way. It was Saitama from One Punch Man. From across the lunar wasteland, I heard Darkiplier's laugh. That's when the sky turned blood red, flickering with unnatural light. More. Portals opened, and demonic anime characters started pouring out. I felt fear for my whole army. These were the deadliest beings anywhere, each one strong enough to wipe out armies. Saitama landed right in front of me.
Still alive, huh? This should be fun.
He smirked. Saitama, always bored by how easy he wiped out enemies, was genuinely excited for someone like me. I laughed, couldn't help it, taking Saitama by surprise. I started to glow.
I've been saving this for last. Guess I'll just have to use it on you.
Guess I'll use it on you, I said, glowing every color at once. Power built inside me, enough to shake the universe. I changed, became the king of creation, with every ability from every anime and video game hero. Red cape, gold crown, all of it. I shot up, landed a punch so hard on Saitama that I hurled him across the galaxy.
Who's next?
I shouted, my voice echoing with power. A portal ripped open, and Saitama stepped back out.
Did you really think Darkiplier brought us here for your friends? We're here for you,
Saitama said, as every anime hero rushed me.
Now, let us show you our real power.
Now, let us show you our real power. They all started glowing, merging, fusing into one monstrous being. He stood on my level, maybe beyond, wearing a black cape, random body parts, armor, a dark aura leaking everywhere.
I am a nihilist,
he declared, and his first punch blew apart my insides. Though my new powers healed me instantly. We traded blows back and forth, wrecking the moon, each recovering after every brutal attack. We fought for what felt like hours, the stalemate unbreakable, until I finally found my moment. Elsewhere on the moon, the battle raged even harder. The giant demons fought giant SpongeBob, stone demons smashing him. Blood everywhere. His last eye dangling by a thread. Still, SpongeBob hung on, desperate, grabbed the stone demon and blasted lasers from his holes, obliterating the stone colossus. Then the ghost skeleton Reaper sliced through SpongeBob with his scythe. SpongeBob, in his final moments, self-destructed, taking the ghost skeleton down with him. Only blood, guts, and ashes remained. Rachel fought her way through, shooting demons like she was born for it. She stumbled across Ash Curry in doll form, sitting among the debris.
You can't keep a good girl down.
Ash said, leaping up and slitting cartoon throats left and right.
Want to join your friends?
She taunted.
Ash, I don't want to hurt you.
Rachel pleaded.
What's it going to take for you to see she's dead?
Ash's voice was pure evil as she charged. Rachel kicked her away and kept firing at the swarm.
These things never end,
she muttered. Luigi managed to trap Luigi in a cage.
Sorted.
He panted.
I'll fry you to ashes when I get out.
Luigi screamed from within. Back at the fight with the Nihilist, our wounds healed as quickly as we could inflict them. But something changed. I saw Luigi, Ash Curry, and Korix Genshin all trapped in cages. We were close. I shot into the sky, fused the power star to myself, and felt something indescribable. I pointed at a Nihilist, and he actually hesitated. I blasted him with everything I had. A flash of pure energy vaporized him instantly.
Evil won't win this war,
I declared, launching myself across the battle site toward Darkiplier. But for some reason, I couldn't reach him. Every time I tried, something dragged me back to the start, trapping me in a maddening loop. Then I noticed a demonic sorcerer in the distance, casting an illusion. I fired laser beams from my eyes, obscuring him and breaking the spell. The world went eerily silent. I looked around, almost no one left standing. Darkiplier had massacred my army and mounted my heroes' heads on pikes. Ash, Luigi and Korix Genshin stood free, but Rachel was tied up.
It's over. I win.
Darkiplier grinned, wild and cruel. Suddenly, my friends ran toward me. He tried to sick them on me, but I snapped my fingers and they vanished.
No, what did you do?
He bellowed. He grabbed Rachel and before I could react, stabbed her through the heart.
Brandon, the altar. Now.
Rachel gasped before she crumpled. I screamed.
No, Rachel!
Tears burned my cheeks as Darkiplier sneered.
Remember, you couldn't just live in my world. I warned you. You were always going to lose someone,
he hissed. Darkiplier snapped his fingers, and the power star appeared in his evil demonic hands.
Finally, I can become unstoppable,
Darkiplier shouted. But then I snapped again. This time, the power star ripped away from Darkiplier and appeared in my hand.
What?
Darkiplier said, confused.
This nightmare ends now,
I said as I set the star on the altar. A beam of pure light shot into the sky.
No, this isn't the last you've seen of me.
Darkiplier howled, his spirit ripped from Markiplier's body. Ash Curry, Luigi and Korix Genshin returned to their real selves, freed from the demon's hold. Ash was human again. We watched numb as Earth began to heal. The sky faded from red to blue, the blood rain stopped, and the ruins of cities reshaped themselves. For the first time, I'd actually saved the world. The Demon King Nightmare stepped from a portal, looking whole.
Thank you,
he said, his words heavy with respect, then slipped back to his realm. We gathered, broken and exhausted, then I teleported us all home. We returned scarred, different from before. Rachel was gone. Our grief hit hard. Her funeral was raw, each of us lost in tears. Even Markiplier, now himself again, wept, horrors of his possession still haunting him. With the old government wiped out, I put my friends in charge to keep watch for new threats. Then I made a strange request. I told them to erase my memories of everything, the haunted games, the cursed cartoons, the whole Darkiplier saga. We walked into the room with the mind-wiping machine.
Are you sure?
Ash asked. Her voice shook.
I'm sure,
I said, and everything faded to white. I woke up in my bed, clueless, years later. Now I was designing a new video game, Mario as the villain, just for fun.
Rise of the Haunted Video Games,
I called it. My best friend Adam played it and said,
Man, this is a masterpiece. Where'd the idea come from?
I smiled and winked.
Had a dream about it.
I'm gonna make it bend and break. Say a prayer, but let the good times roll. In case God doesn't show. And I want these words to make things right, but it's the wrongs that make the words come to life. Who does he think he is? If that's the worst you got, better put your fingers back to the key. One more time. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so bad. It tastes like you, sweeter. One night, yeah, one more time. Thanks for the memories, thanks for the memories. It tastes like you, sweeter. Forward to the future, where my eyesight is going bad, and this crystal ball, it's always cloudy except for when you look into the past. One night stand, one night stand, one night and one more time. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so great. It tastes like you, sweeter. One night, yeah, one more time. Thanks for the memories, thanks for the memories. It tastes like you, sweeter. I only think in the form of crunching numbers in hotel rooms, collecting paychecks to lovers. Get me out of my mind, get you out of those clothes. I'm a runner away from getting you into the moon. One night and one more time. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so great. It tastes like you, sweeter. One night, yeah, one more time. Thanks for the memories, thanks for the memories. It tastes like you, sweeter. One more time. Thanks for the memories, even though they weren't so great. It tastes like you, sweeter. One night, yeah, one more time. Thanks for the memories, thanks for the memories. It tastes like you, sweeter.
Suddenly the world gets surrounded by thick black tentacles.
What is happening?
Brandon said, confused. Then the voices came.
You caused me so much pain.
The voice said.
Who are you, and how can I hear you in my mind?
Brandon said, getting a little fearful.
You've forgotten, but I can fix that.
The voice said before one of the tentacles touched Brandon's forehead, and he had regained all the memories he had lost.
Oh shit.